Thank you and welcome into this video. I would like to walk you through how you can self-audit your iTax portal to know if you have pending debt in case your returns were filed correctly and notice any discrepancy in your iTax portal. So what you're supposed to do basically, just sign in into your iTax portal, just input your PIN, then populate the password and then enter the simple mathematical computation here. So you'll be logged into this portal. When you log in, what you're supposed to do, just come first thing first, I want us first to verify if our returns were actually filed correctly. So in order to do that first, what you need to have basically in your mind is where the tab which you need to click. You need to come to where we have returns, then come to where we have viewed file returns. Then you need to come here and choose the tax obligation, then choose the income tax resident, then you need to choose the type of return here. So the type of return is original. Then you need to choose the return period. So you need to know if the period dating back 1st January 2025 to 31st December 2025 if it was filed. So you just come here and you check. So you can basically see that these returns were filed. So you can go ahead and view how these returns were being filed in case you gave it to a cyber cafe. So you can be able to verify how the returns were being filed. So you just click view. So when you click view, you get all these information. So the important one, maybe you can, in case it was the business one, you can view how the P&L was done by that cyber guy. Then you can go below and see how every item was populated in case you have the knowledge about it. You can come and view how the employment income was being declared by the person who was doing books for you. So you can see. So you can see for the original return, the person who filed this return had filed a tax liability of 806.74. So you can compare it as compared with your PIN form and check if all the data which was prefilled was filled correctly. You can also notice that you can be able even to check if there was an amendment. So if the person who was doing the book for you did an amendment, so you can check from here. So these are two for self-service. That's why it is a self-service portal. So you can come here and view. So and now you notice the difference. So in 2025 there was an amendment. So you can notice when we go down here, you notice the result of an amendment. So you notice an amendment was done and the tax which was declared is for 40 shillings. But the reason why you need to get that tendency of auditing your iTax portal is because in some scenario, you can do the correct filing of return and do also an amendment, and you notice you'll be having an outstanding principal tax. And in most cases, the reason why you usually have that outstanding principal tax, even if you have corrected file your return, is because in some scenario, accountant may fail to remit the pay to the revenue authority, and that liability, it is shifted back to you as a taxpayer or as an employee, and you are supposed to do the declaration. So I'll tell you because this is a scenario which happened to this person. So that is the next step which you are going on, assessing if you have outstanding principal debt which you owe the revenue authority. And to check these, you need to come to where we have payment and come to where we have payment registration. When you come to where we have payment registration, you just need to click next and then click OK to proceed. When you click OK to proceed, you need to choose the tax head. So the tax head is the income tax. You need to choose the tax subhead. In my scenario, I'm dealing with income tax resident individual. Then you need to choose the type. The payment type is self-assessment. So you can notice the return for this year dating back from 1st January 2025 to 31st December was correctly filed. But can you notice we have a principal tax here, which is outside. Where do it come from? The reason why you get this principal tax, even if you have corrected, and that is the biggest reason why you need to constantly audit your iTax portal. Sometimes you may think that your returns were done correctly and you get an outstanding principal tax, which in some cases it will not due to the negligence of the person who did the books for you and submitted the return for you, but it can be a discrepancy originating from the employer from the employment side, where the accountant maybe they can be mischievous and sometimes fail to remit the amount to the revenue authority, or in some cases there could be errors where they need to communicate with the revenue authority and have clear communication regarding them so that they can be written off. So when it comes to the employer, you just need to notify the employer, my pay was not remitted properly, and they can go ahead and communicate the same to the revenue authority or do the necessary and pay the amount. But the problem with this, in case you don't notice, you can notice that this amount has started already accruing interest. So immediately as it start accruing interest, the liability is being shifted to your side, and now it will be your problem when trying to download your tax compliance certificate. So let us continue. The other area which you need to be careful and constantly audit is this area here, where you receive other incomes which are not part and parcel of your employment income. And that part is where we have certificates. Just have the tendency of coming where we have reprints withholding certificates and choose consult. Just randomly. You can see there is no record. In some scenario, you may have registered, or maybe your spouse receive some amount using your KRA rating and you don't realize it, and you get into a lot of troubles when trying to file your return. These are some of the essential things which you need to audit in your portal. The other thing which is so important, and you should have a tendency and know how to interpret it, is previously KRA was maintaining the taxpayer ledgers, but now ledgers are already in the iTax portal. So you don't need to go to the KRA to start telling them to audit something. Maybe you think your employer didn't remit this amount. You can check it yourself. So I want to explain that, and then we can close to this. This is more than enough on what you are supposed to audit in the iTax portal. You need to come to where we have my ledgers. You can come to where we have general ledgers. Then you need to come to where we have type of transaction. So the type of transaction, we can choose the self-assessment. You can choose the account type. The account type is the taxpayer's main. You can choose the tax head. The tax head, we can choose the income tax resident. And you can come here and choose the tax period, which dates back from maybe here we want for a certain period, and so that I can show you the discrepancy which is happening in this scenario, and you need to be very careful regarding this. So tax period is this, and we can choose to show some ledgers here. So we can check these ledgers for 2025. So I want to show you where the discrepancy is coming from. So you can notice that in 2025, there are months which are missing here. When you calculate this pay which was remitted, you can calculate here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 2 months which are missing. And when you do the combination of those 2 months, that's where you get that tax liability which is emanating here. So it means there was a discrepancy when the accountant was remitting the amount to the revenue authority, or remitting the pay amount to the revenue authority, which is usually an advanced tax, which is usually remitted to the revenue authority. So it is appearing in the credit side in case it was remitted. In case it is not remitted, it is a debit entry, since the revenue authority behaves as a creditor and you act as a debtor. So this is how you can check your ledgers. So the ledgers are different. So we have have a look at the ledger report, the general ledgers. Though you can have a comprehensive report of the ledger, which you can go ahead and export it. Import it as an Excel document or a PDF document. So we can do a self-assessment here. We can choose the tax head. In this scenario, we are assuming income tax resident, and then choose to show the ledgers. So these are the comprehensive ledgers from time immemorial when you started remitting money to the iTax. You can go ahead and you can export it to Excel, and so that you can carry simple analysis to make your analysis simple. So basically, right now, the iTax portal is much equipped to handle a lot of things as we didn't imagine. It can be able to cover a lot of areas, which I I think KRA usually don't do necessary sensitization to disclose to the taxpayer the capabilities of these platforms. I want to show you the last platform which you should audit in case you are dealing with a business which you have already registered with eTIMS, where you have made some transactions which were invoiced to you and some payments. So there is a option here called Home. Under Home, you can be able to track in case you made any sale or credit note. As you know, when you make a sale, there is higher probability of giving a credit note in case there were goods which were spoiled or some item broke. So you can come here and choose income tax and choose the date. So in case you have some sales which were validated via eTIMS, they will be applying here. Also, as you know, currently we are dealing with the validation of expenses. All the expenses which were validated via eTIMS plus the combination of the credit note will be appearing here. In case you made any imports, will be appearing here, and any export. So these are some of the sections which you should keep on auditing during the period of the year to ensure you are tax compliant. So you must ensure that your input side and the input side is the purchase side, the input, and the output side is the sales side. So you must always try and check so that you can be able to leverage on the tax liability which you'll be making at the end of the year. Because as you know, the higher the lower you fail to validate the expenses and the purchases which you make, the higher the tax liability you'll be having. So you must try and monitor what you are doing within the year and ensure you monitor as much expenses as possible. So that is what I wanted to discuss to you now. In case you have any query or in case you need any consulting regarding income tax, VAT, withholding tax, or any kind of tax, or anything regarding to tax, you can reach me using the contact in the description. So thank you for watching and have a nice day ahead.